Instagram don't like it, so your reach will decline. So you have to use apps to take off the TikTok watermark. So we would just always recommend, don't build it in either, record and create the content out of app and then go put it into Instagram and put it into TikTok. And then the final trend I want to talk about, and maybe this will lead in nicely to your next episode as well, Manny, because as digital agency owners, we're both affected by Google massively. And, I'm not going to go too much into our thoughts on Google. But one thing I'm seeing in regards to a trend is actually there's a lot more automation coming from both an SEO and PPC perspective. So for marketeers, obviously, it's very helpful to be the experts in the know if you're running PPC, if you're doing SEO, and this could be in-house or externally using an agency. You know what works. You've got those tried and tested techniques that you've seen work before, and that's what you do. Whereas we started seeing this earlier on in Google, that now Google AdWords, it's all about recommendations. And actually, listeners might not know this, but from an agency perspective, because we're a premier partner of Google, for us to keep our partner status, one of the things we have to do is accept a certain amount of Google's recommendations. Now, Google's recommendations don't act in the interest of the client. They act in the interest of Google. So it becomes a very, very difficult and interesting conversation when we're looking at the fact that these recommendations, we need it for our status, but then are they always right by the client? And, the recommendations will always include increasing budget. But, as you and I know, Manny, sometimes that's just not an option. Small businesses, they don't have a lot of money. They're reinvesting everything they can into their ads to drive conversions, but they don't need a constant hammering of put more budget in, put more budget in, put more budget in. So we're seeing that automation already. And I think that will continue more. The recommendations currently you have to approve. My concern is that it might get to a point where it's actually all AI robot driven and there's very little that you can do to kind of change it yourself, apply your own knowledge and expertise. So this trend for me is more of a warning sign around the future of where Google's going and what that could mean for marketeers. We then look at that in 2021, we've started seeing this automation creeping in on the organic side as well. So, for example, anyone who does SEO, you'll know that kind of a really easy win is to update your meta titles and descriptions. Make sure they include your keywords and they're kind of written and they're there on all your target landing pages. So that used to be kind of SEO 101, get your meta titles and descriptions updated. But Google have now taken over that and gone, well, I can see that you've put a meta title and description in, but actually I'm going to create one for you if I think I can create a better one. So again, all AI driven. There's been huge fallouts because people on top position are actually finding they're getting less clicks because even though they've got the top position from their previous SEO efforts, actually what's happened is Google then changed the title tag, made it not relevant to the audience and people then not clicking it. There was a massive issue with the HMRC website. I think it was something like, it was their main landing page, which should have said a specific thing generally about HMRC. But the title tag was something so specific about tax that it pulled through that no one was clicking on it anymore. So there's been a massive issue with that. And so again, as a warning sign that Google are taking over and it's not all good. So as marketers, we just need to be aware of this. We need to kind of fight the good fight where we can and keep doing what we can, but just keeping on top of what's going on here, because it could affect future rankings, ad performance, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's something to take away, but I don't want to end on a negative. Yeah. So just to kind of quickly recap, yes, whilst we may beginning to have less control over Google and therefore our SEO and PPC, because obviously 80% of traffic goes through Google, there's some amazing opportunities for marketers out there. Getting on board with the audio marketing hype, getting on board with Reels. By 2022, online videos are expected to make up more than 82% of all internet traffic. So, really do drive forward with video. We encourage that massively. And yeah, the social commerce side and maybe one of our listeners might go try out my little tip that I recommended about creating some Spotify playlists and linking their products through. So I'd love to know if anyone does that in 2022 and what the results are.
That's been absolutely fantastic. I feel like I've learned so much in the last 20 minutes. So yeah, I think there's some great, fantastic tips and trends for 2022. Let us know your thoughts. And if anyone does try that Spotify tip, I think that's a great one. I'll be passing that on to a couple of people and clients, definitely.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, subscribe and follow us across all our platforms. And we look forward to catching up with you on our next episode. So thank you, Claire.
Thanks, Manny. See you next time.